Welcome back. Cost of governance takes our attention on the program, and Dr. Oby Ezekwesili has been talking to us from our Abuja studio. You also can be a part of the conversation here by sending your comments and your thoughts via Twitter handle you can see on your screen. These handles, it's at CTV Politics and at Sheon Walking. That's my personal handle. Or send to us an email to politicstoday@channelstv.com. Let me take a few of your comments that you've been sending to us. Now, at Kento Blast says that elected or appointed, including Mr. President, deserves the ridiculous salary allowances earned by our lawmakers. That amounts to sheer robbery. That's Kento Balance. Yeah, at Otolua, these are tweets that you send to us, that since they claim there are agencies that fix these outrageous allowances, President Muhammadu Buhari should call such agencies to order. Another one from at Kenny_Egbo says, let's not deceive ourselves. I expect every APC state to take this lead, and House members and senators, but just a few did. Why? Well, keep them coming, and though some of your emails are also coming, but we'll take them when the time comes. Well, let me go back to my guest here in Abuja. Well, thank you so much for staying with us, Dr. Ezekwesili. But let me ask you, because Nigerians are itching for the change in this situation. 7 months of unpaid salaries, 6 months of unpaid salaries, and nothing anyone can write home about. The PDP governors, the APC governors met, and the governors forum, they met, and they're asking, looking ahead for a bailout in this situation. You have held the position of the Vice President of the World Bank. You can be able to give us a benefit of your experience, and just how can the nation get out of this mess?
You know, a bailout is often possible when the one that you're going to and requesting bailout from has the financial headroom to be able to smoothly support you. That does not seem to be the situation of our own federal government. The federal government had said to us a few months ago that it had to resort to borrowing in order to keep up with salaries. Even though, you know, that seemed to suggest that it had to do with the fact that the national budget hadn't been passed. The fact does remain that the structure of the budget, whether at the federal level or at the state levels, they don't in any way lend itself doesn't in any way lend itself to the kind of easy bailout that people are thinking. What I imagine would happen, because this problem has to be solved, is that there's going to be a lot of negotiation. There's going to be a lot of negotiation in terms of what set of reforms would each state that requires a bailout, if any can be found, put on the table. The current environment where more than 80% of the budget of the national level as well as the state levels go toward the cost of governance, the recurrent costs, doesn't in any way project seriousness about pursuing pro-poor investments. You need the kind of public investment that would support people to lift themselves out of poverty. If we are spending most of our resources in running government, it means that we're not investing in the things that matter for reducing unemployment, the things that matter for achieving growth. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to increase poverty and you're going to deepen inequality. That's not a prospect that you want to have. So let there be a conversation. There needs to be a conversation. There needs to be an agreement. Some of the things that we have seen, even in terms of the way that the federal government has borrowed and the way that the state level, the states have borrowed, is so contradictory of what was had in mind when the Fiscal Responsibility Act was thought of and passed. It exists. It basically obliges the state and the states and the federal government to certain pattern of responsibility in the way that borrowings are done. But even at the national level, some 40 to, I mean, if you have to convert it into dollar for it to make some sense in terms of the scale of what we're dealing with. Some 40 to 50 billion, constitutes the total debt, most of which is domestic debt. Now, with that kind of a structure of debt, you have a huge debt service bill. Whether it's at the national level or at the state level, and at the state level, it's even worse because theirs is an automatic charge against their takings from the center by those that they owe.
All right. If I may come in here quickly, madam, let me quickly ask you, isn't it a very difficult task? For example, in most of the states of the Federation, what we see is that about 1% of the population goes home with the huge part of the recurrent expenditure. And you just have just a little portion of the capital expenditure being used and being benefited by the rest 99% of the population of each of these states. And which brings to the question about the fact that just how will we get out of this mess? By reducing the workforce, or by cutting salaries, or just in what other means with this state, because people are expecting immediate response to this situation?
Well, as I said earlier, this is going to be a painful solution. There are no easy options. So one of the things that you do for fiscal consolidation in many other environments where conditions have been like this is to really look at your public sector. You look at your public sector. I was recently saying to someone that the way that you handle a fiscal crisis, it depends on whether you want to go the way of Ireland or you want to go the way of Greece. So you have to make a choice. In the case of Ireland, it started with serious fiscal crisis about the same time as Greece. And the first thing it did was to massively cut every irrelevance and even the relevant things, it reduced them in order to get itself to a place of fiscal balance, because that's important as a foothold for growth. Right. In the case of Greece, it failed to do that and danced around the problem. And today, we're in a situation where June 30th is a day to determine whether Greece continues to exist as a viable entity or not. So the choices are very tough. And the point you made about the population, the percentage of the population that actually is being taken care of, putting it in a very layman's language, taken care of by this cost of governance. It doesn't quite square out, because what it means is that the productivity of the public sector needs to be questioned. We need to look at how do we achieve efficiency of governance and policy making with resources enough to give us the space for capital investment. Those are really serious questions. A lot of these questions are economic in nature, but they're going to require a lot of political consensus in order to be able to push them forward.
Let me quickly come in here and just a quick one, Madam Ezekwesili, if you'll be able, Nigerians are really itching to know what exactly the solution. I'm very sure that is a very critical and not a very good note that the current administration has entered into getting power at this time when the economy is in a critical situation.